Hello, everybody, and welcome to another SPL interview. The last SPL team, not the last to qualify. They made it through before the Gladiators, but yeah, we're here to speak to the Eldritch Hounds. We've got Duck3y, Quig, and Coast joining us. How's it going, guys? How you doing?
Good, going good.
I'm doing good.
You're looking good, Ducky. You look, you look. I don't know. A lot's changed. A lot's changed about you.
Yeah, no, it happened over the off season, and we got this Hounds jersey I've been working on, just test riding it today.
Yeah, that was what I meant. It was the jersey.
Right.
But yeah, you guys qualified into the SPL. You made it through the tournament. Yeah, well, your team, obviously. We're talking Coast ADC, Quig support, Benny mid, Oath jungle, Ducky solo, and L Chuckles in the coach role, making sure we at least have 2 Australian coaches in the SPL at all times. But yeah, like let's go through the tournament first of all and talk about that a little bit. I guess you guys came in as either second or third favorites, depending on who you asked. Were you guys like always pretty confident in your roster? Did you feel like you were the best team going in? And did the tournament live up to your expectations? Were the teams of the caliber you expected? I guess let's start. We'll go Duck3y, Quig, Coast on this one. So Duck3y, you kick us off.
I think everyone was surprised that the Wargs didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a shocker for everybody, but I think we were pretty confident going in. It was really our meta for the tournament, so I didn't really have any doubts or anything whenever we played.
And Quig, what about you?
Yeah, like Ducky said, it kind of just was our meta, and it was kind of like coming into it. Maybe at the start when we first started scrimming, things weren't looking so hot, so we weren't really that confident. But towards like second, third week of scrimming, we kind of really figured out how we wanted to play the game, and obviously not like coming in as first seed is kind of like a big weight off your shoulders. Like you don't want to come in with everyone expecting you to make it, and there's like all this pressure on you. Like it was like kind of just perfect for us. Like people were like, oh yeah, they maybe might make it, who knows? And we're like, meanwhile, we're just like kind of owning all the other teams in scrims, and like we're just like behind scenes being like, oh yeah, like this is so free for us. This is crazy.
Yeah, always feels good when you're being written off, but you're playing really well in the background. Coast, what about you? I guess scrims for you would have been difficult playing from Europe.
Oh yeah, I love playing like 120 ping every scrim and playing the same gods for the last 6 months. It's always a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't know. I was always confident, but like it was weird because I think like a lot of the time, like on teams I'm on, like it's centered around like Joelyn and me.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a lot different this time because we always come to like this doing nothing, like any EU style of play, which is weird. But I'm used to it.
Yeah, I mean,
but
you got some of you Donnies on your team.
Ducky doesn't count anymore. He left us really.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, he is a bit NA at this point. But yeah, I mean, tournament-wise, you guys went through the winners bracket, dropped a game to the Wargs. Was that the only game you dropped? I can't remember. Did you drop a game earlier on?
Yeah, that was the only game we dropped.
The only game you dropped was one against the Wargs, and then you went through. But pre-tournament, you guys must have figured out how to put this team together. It's, I guess, like a kind of amalgamation of different teams. You have Duck3y, Quig, and Oath. You guys teamed together, right? And then you filled out the rest of the team with these other guys. How did that come together, I guess? Did you start with the 3 of you and look for others?
Yeah, it was originally just me, Pat, and Ducky looking for like kind of filling in the holes, and originally, I don't know, I'm sure you'll ask Coast about it, but like, we weren't really expecting to Coast. Like everyone kind of had Coast super highly valued. So it was kind of a super deal that we were able to get him because yeah, the roster apocalypse is always like kind of hard for the bottom end teams. You're kind of like waiting around to like figure out what all the other teams are doing, and like they lock in, and then you're kind of just like left at the last week being like, well, who's not on a team, and then you kind of just have to smush everybody together. And luckily me, Pat, and Ducky, we've all been playing together already, so that was like pretty easy to work with so far. And then I think Benny and Krim were I think they're like pretty similar players. They play similar styles, so that was an easy pick for us. And then yeah, Coast kind of rounded it out from there. He was like the last player we picked up.
And coach-wise, when did Chuck come into your team?
Chuck came in, I think, before Coast. I didn't really talk to any of the coaches coming into it. That was mostly Ben talking to. I think we were talking with Sharks for a bit, and then Chuckles was on the side as well. And then Sharks, I think, decided to do something else with like back in Australia. So it's like, I guess we'll just go with Chuck, and Chuck's been great. You know, he's a fun guy to work with.
Yeah, not bad when you get a 2-time world champion as your backup choice
pretty good
there.
deal.
Coast, do you wanna talk about your roster apocalypse experience, or am I giving you flashbacks here?
Oh, I mean, how long do we have? I could be here for a while. But I feel like I was on like, I don't know, a lot of rosters, or like kind of. The way I went into it is like, I mainly focused on getting support. I got good support, and I saw like the top 4, so I like spoke to all of them, except for genetics, because I just assumed Kings would stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to Aurora a lot. Like he was interested, of course, and then I was in a call with them. They asked me about who's a soul inner, and then they mentioned Cyclone Spin, and I kind of like, and then they said they wanted Baskin as well, so I kind of put 2 and 2 together at that point, and they got him.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to Mike quite a bit as well. Like he messaged me like the Monday after Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to him for like like a few days, fucking hell. And he ended up going with the Warriors, which was I was honestly really surprised at, because the potential roster we had was like me, Kenneth, Fino, Pagon, and Mike. And I thought like, I just looked at it on paper and I was like, how can you say no to that? But then
Dardas came calling, I guess.
Yeah, I guess Mike's always had a thing for Dardas, so it's hard. Yeah. And then once Kenneth left me, it was kind of chalked. I was just looking at scraps at that point. And I guess that's where these guys came along. I was barely playing, but I mean, I'm glad I did. So.
Yeah, I remember you sad tweeting midway through the roster apocalypse, "Hey, worst week of my life" and all this kind of shit. But
it was awful.
I don't know. Does it feel? We'll get into that in a bit. But I think it's cool that you played your way in and earned it. Duck3y, is there anything that you feel we've missed off here on the roster talks? Were there any other things going on in the background?
Not really. I feel like most of the roster things starts with, okay, guys, we're all free agents, and then everyone's asking everyone, any news?
Mm-hmm.
Any news, guys? Any news? And then once you slowly start to figure out, oh, those top 6 teams have already formed, huh? All right, let's get something cramming together, boys. And then I was with Quig and Oath, and then Coast didn't want to play. He had enough. He was like, oh, I'm not on this team. I'm not on this team. Flip this guy. But thankfully, I roped him into it.
Right.
Persuaded him into playing. So we got a good ADC. But it's typically every roster apocalypse the same. You're just waiting like the first 2 weeks for other people to make a choice, and then figuring out what you want to do.
Yeah, I guess there's always those who have the keys, right? There's like those top 4 teams or whatever who kind of control what's going on, and then things come down from that. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about like your status going into this. It feels like Coast, you certainly were regarded as like next up in ADC, but both yourself and Stu unable to get spots. I guess a very competitive role ADC right now. How does that affect your mentality coming into tournaments and things like that? Do you always feel like you're waiting for someone to drop out the SBL and looking for a spot, or is it just something that happens at the end of the year? Were you looking for things like towards the end of last year as well?
I mean, I never really thought about that much. Like I spoke because kind of like at the end of like last season, like talked to me about it. It's not something I really thought about, but like in terms of like the competition and like being next up, I don't know. It just makes you more motivated. I think like when people like keep picking like others over you, you know, it just gives you more hunger, I think, and takes pressure off as well. But like I'm not someone that cares about pressure anyway, so.
It feels like all 3 of you guys were kind of just on the fringes of SBL. You know, like if there's roster changes being talked about, Quig and Duck3y, you both get talked about too. Was there anything last year where there was opportunities to move up, or has it always just been working towards this end of season and looking to play in?
Yeah, I don't think support's really a role that was really open like any at all times last year. Like support's kind of a role that a lot of rosters kind of build around, and they're kind of their cores are really important. So the whole of last year, I wasn't really expecting a call up or whatever you want to call it. But I think I knew that, you know, if like we just kind of got buckled down and practiced, like, you know, it would just be very easy. Because I don't know, I'm confident. I don't think there's like a lot of great supports like in like outside of SPL that are like, you know, better than me, that like in any sort of way, or in any sort of way that I couldn't, like, you know, just practice and get better at. Like I think like outside of NA, like maybe the Coast's old support, what his name is, Kha'Zix or whatever,
Mhm.
that guy was pretty good. But yeah, I think the support role's kind of dry right now, so
Yeah.
I just wound up to be next up.
Keeps happening, right? People role swapping into support and doing well and things like that. I guess, yeah, it's just that nobody wants to play support, right? You're stuck there now, Quig.
Yeah.
Ducky, same story for you. Just sort of waited out the year and then played in.
Yeah, I wanted a break from Smite after the Valkyrie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was not doing good mentally after that one, especially since we tried qualifiers with like me, Hurry, and Snoopy, Luke, and the boys.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do well in that, so I was a little like crushed after that. So I wanted a break.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the year, or whenever that big roster apocalypse happened, where Bolts picked up Baskin,
Yeah.
I was asking them if they wanted a soul lane or whatnot, trying to wiggle my way in. But they did end up choosing Baskin. And then the Hounds asked me to play again. They'd asked me to before. I don't remember when it was, but it was a while back, and I didn't want to play. But this time I said yes because I missed playing Smite. If I'm being honest, the competitive side of it.
Yeah, I think everybody gets that itch. Everybody quits and everybody wants to come back. I'm the same. I retired twice and I'm retired now, but look at me go. Fucking hell. Still spending more hours on Smite than many other things I should be spending time on. Quig, I guess you guys kind of went after Ducky a couple times and then you eventually brought him into your team. And it did seem like it made you guys a lot better, a lot more... definitely at tournaments. Yeah. Definitely at tournaments, it made you guys a lot stronger. Do you want to talk a little bit about like why you wanted Ducky and what he brought to the team?
It sounds like it's kind of like a cliche or whatever, but it really is just his competitive experience, and like especially in roles like jungle and solo and support, like roles that really do start fights and like dictate where you are and want to go on the map a lot of the time. Like having experience in those roles is so important. And like this is no knock on Remakami, our old solo laner. Like, he's like a good mechanical player, but he just didn't have the time like put into the game, like in scrims and like in like game day scenarios to know like what's good and what's not. Like Ducky being able to pick really good fights for us and like keeping us calm when like stuff's going crazy. It's like I don't know, they just helped us so much. Like, and Cho did for one of the sets at SPL plans last year, or at the start of this year, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one where you were, how much was it? How much gold was it you were down and you turned it around? Was there not a big?
Bro, I don't know. I don't pay attention. I don't pay attention to that stuff in game. I would not be surprised. Yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy set. I did watch that back. Ducky was hitting some Herc pulls. That was cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a big part of our finally able to take over the Valks there. They kind of had our number that whole year there before we got Ducky.
Yeah, you cooked for sure. And I guess it's kind of going back to earlier, but kind of staying on this point in terms of like meta and understanding the game. You guys seem to be like by far the best team in the play-in tournament. You seem to have the best handle on what was good in jungle. I think Ducky had a really good handle on what was good in solo, and just overall, you guys were playing for the late game really, really well. How did you come to those decisions? Was this like, is this a big coach focus? Is this just you guys had really good practice and figured out what the map was going to be? Were scrims as slow as the games in the play-ins were? Did you slow things down in your head, or give us some words on that, I guess.
Yeah, scrims are never really as slow as game day. Like everyone just kind of is always playing a little bit faster, a little bit more recklessly, because like that's just what scrims are for. Like you're just running around limit testing. But a big part of why we decided to play so slowly and like why we looked so good doing it is because Bluestone was just broken, and like being able to build it in the jungle was so strong, and Pat's always been like a really good like hard carry jungler. If you can get him to late game, that's just what Pat wants to do. Like he's always going to want to, like if he can choose farming over like running it down and getting a kill, he's going to prioritize farming if he can. And so that whole tournament and like obviously the scrims leading up to the tournament, we were just like hammering in like if we can just get Pat to level 20 and he's on a character that can poke or he's on like a character that can split push or like force 1v1s, like we were so confident. And like I mean you could see like when we're down, like we're like coming into it, like Benny was saying, like he, as long as we have one Phoenix up, like we can win a game. Like it showed too, like in that the set versus Glads, like we're getting pounded and we're down like however much we are, and but we have one Phoenix up, and oh, what do you know, like we can still win the game because we get our items online.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Duck3y, I feel like you had it was Oath had that playstyle in the jungle that was slightly unique, and you had this playstyle in solo that was a little bit unique. Just kind of not pounding, getting pounded a little bit, running away, hiding around, and just trying to get as much farm as you could with as little help as possible. Was that what you thought was good? Just trying to farm up your sigil and play the game late as well?
I mean, it wasn't like that in scrims, I'll tell you that now. There was a lot of inting, a lot of building the wrong items, picking the wrong gods. Coast's fault. Telling me, Tyr's OP, man, gotta play Tyr, like one of the worst characters in the meta possible.
You played it wrong.
Yeah, I played it wrong. But after all that, I think I went against one person who was like, we were like, yo, Amma might be good. And I was like, no, guys, she stinks. She just does. Then we were thinking, yo, what if we could farm like Amma, but not die? So we started picking just Golden Blade characters and running around trying to get the most farm, because there's nothing to do on that side of the map besides push the waves. So we did that for a while, and then it just seemed to work for me because I'm so used to playing like Wukong and those AFK gods that it was just super easy to fit back into that and farm up for level 20, then rotate, because you don't lose the game that early in that meta. So you have time and leeway to work up to that.
Yeah, and when you got there, the Vimana looked very, very scary. It was a big, big, big baby. But now we're getting into SPL time. You made it, and it's time to get into it, I guess, for the first time for Coast and Quig, and you're back, Duck3y. In terms of moving out to the US and apartments and things like that, how are things looking on that? Are you all living together in a couple different apartments in one place, or are you splitting into some houses? Duck3y, I know you already stay out there, so how's all that working for you guys?
We planned on apartments, so we're gonna have 2 apartments going for the boys. As far as when we move in, that's just reliant on visa, so I do not know at the moment. But I presume Benny and Oath will be moving towards the end of the month. On Quig's side, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'm Canadian, so I gotta wait for a visa as well.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's just 2 apartments, and it's like pretty close to the studio, and there's like walking distance to a gym and a grocery store, and a whole bunch of other amenities. So it's a pretty good spot, I think.
In one of those complexes. I've been to.
Yeah,
maybe I've been to that one. Maybe it's the one that the Warriors used to stay in, Nika and Chuck and stuff. I don't know, because I know they were moving. I guess they moved out, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, I think they've moved as well.
Yeah, so getting a couple apartments, but still awaiting visas. Does that mean for this play-in tournament, we're likely going to be seeing some ping demon action almost across the board for you guys?
It looks like Duck3y is saying yes.
He's back.
I'm ready for ping diff again.
Yeah, it's ping time, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, we're used to it. We've been scrimming a little bit. It's like frustrating to like play with ping, but it's just what you got to put up with at the moment. It sucks, but
yeah, it is what it is, I guess. At least it's not the whole year. You'll be making it out. At least I hope so. Surely nothing.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, cool. Well, and that's it for the generic questions. But normally at the end of this, I throw out a curveball, stupid question. And I'm coming up with one now because I didn't prepare one. Which of your teammates do you think is going to be the worst to live with when you go in? If you're picking apartments, which of your teammates do you want to avoid? Who do you think? Perhaps
it's so easy. It's so easy.
It'll be Pat, right?
It's Pat. It's Pat. It's not even close. It's Pat. It has to be Pat.
Wait, I'm living with Pat. No, hold up. No,
Yeah,
no,
you're,
no,
you're in a
sorry.
rough spot, bro. That guy's gonna be up at 4 a.m. He's gonna be knocking on your door, asking you stupid questions. Oh my god, the takes this guy has is insane. It's gonna be a nightmare living with this guy. Oh my god.
He's gonna ask me to go to the gym at like 6 a.m. I'm in
Yeah,
bed.
he's gonna. Yeah, he's gonna. He's
I'm
gonna
gonna
lose
hit another
scrims.
PR today. Come on, let's go.
He's gonna lose scrims, and then he's gonna want to go on a sad walk in the rain with you.
Blair, I do like my walks. I'm a big walk fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very healthy. Very healthy. It's a good habit to get into, but that's cool. It's cool. So Oath, gonna be a nightmare to live with, but a good jungler in the Bluestone meta. So he's got that.
Yeah, he's got that going for him at least.
Cool. Is there anything you're really looking forward to about living together? Like what do you think is gonna be the most fun thing about being in a team house? Ducky, have you been in a team house before, Ducky?
I was in the Obey house.
The Obey house, yeah. Yeah, so you've had the Obey house. That must have been a positive atmosphere.
We had a rat.
You had a
pet
rat.
or just a
No,
rat?
it was not a pet rat. I found it dead in Bobby's laundry.
Oh, cool.
Mate, yeah, no, it was a nice place. So
don't
I wanted
like rats.
apartment, so it's easy to clean.
Yeah, that makes sense. Only half the people and less space. Okay. What about the other two of you? Is there anything you're particularly looking forward to about moving into a team apartment or whatever?
I don't know. It's whatever. Nothing too excited about. I'm not excited to be living in the Georgia heat.
Mm-hmm.
It is so hot down there in the summer. It sucks. So I guess I don't know.
At least they got
I'm
AC
lucky.
everywhere, I guess. That's
true.
every single room and every single place has AC everywhere. What about you, Coast?
I guess for me, it's like a general. It's having like more of like a social life, I guess, because I don't know. I kind of it's not like a sob story, but like I don't know. I kind of sacrificed like a lot of it when I was like younger.
Mhm.
It's like the fully grind smite. So it'd be nice to like I don't know, just be in a place where like just hanging out with your friends. You can do that whenever you want. So I think that'd be nice. And just in
20
general, it's
ping.
like the low ping especially, but just in general, like I've never like lived away from home before, so it'd be like a nice new experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, got everything to learn. All those fun things about
Can't wait.
people not washing their dishes and shit like that.
Exciting times.
Yeah,
It'll be Pat, so we don't have to worry.
yeah, we're safe from Pat.
You guys know, don't
You
throw
could
that
just
on me.
you could always blame him. It's gonna be great. Yeah, it's gonna be scapegoated. Cool. I think that's it. Is there anything final any of you would like to say to all of the little Eldritch Hounds maniac fans out there before we finish up?
Fuck Levi's.
I predicted
fuck
you to
Kenneth.
qualify, by the way.
You did.
Predicted
Thank
you.
you.
I had you as my
Thank you.
favorite to qualify. So
wow,
at least someone.
you're so smart. You're so
Yeah.
smart.
Fucking yes.
I'll say this here. I will be moving up from 8th on every tier list.
Okay.
I will not be 8th.
Is that your
I'm going for
is that your
number one.
vow? Is that your
No,
vow
you,
for
but-
this year? Not last, really?
I mean, no, I never said last. I could go lower, but I'm not going to be 8th.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
We'll get like somebody subbing in a row situation, and that'll bump you down. I'm excited to see it. I'll put you 8th anyway because I hate you. That's the narrative. But no, I believe. Oh, that is too much. That is
can't
too
believe
much.
you
I
would
can't.
say that.
I can't look at that anymore. Okay. Thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having
And
me.
looking forward to watching you in the SBL. I'm excited for it.
Yay.
Bye, everybody. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Stop looking so sad. Stop being sad.